we have Pat Coogan, offensive lineman. Start with Mike and then go to Zach.
Yeah, Pat, you've faced a lot of talented defensive tackles. I'm curious, when you look at Tyreek Tucker, he's not your prototypical All-American sized defensive tackle, but what makes him so effective? I don't know, what stands out to you when you kind of go up against him in practice compared to guys you faced throughout your career?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he does a great job of knowing what he excels at and using that to his advantage. He has that built-in leverage, type body that he really uses well, and it's tough because especially me, who's a bit taller than him, in practice, like it's tough to get underneath him and use that leverage, and I feel like that's what a lot of people struggle with. So he really uses that to his advantage. And he's quick. He's got a good burst off the ball, and he uses his hands well. And he's a veteran player, so he knows the ins and outs of the games. So yeah, he's been huge for us, and really taking that step from last year to this year, and just being that dominant force on the inside for us. It's been awesome to watch.
You've been around some offensive coordinators, obviously, in your career. How would you explain basically the way Coach Shanahan approaches just the overall sort of the holistic? Obviously, he's got his position. He's game planning the whole thing. I know Coach Signetti works pretty collaboratively with him. How would you, as somebody who's seen a number of different coaches maybe in that role, explain the way that he approaches it, the way that he tackles it?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the main thing is he believes in his playmakers. He believes in us, and he does a great job of putting his playmakers in positions to succeed, right? He lets his ego go at the door, and he really just cares about the overall success of the unit, and that's getting the balls in the hands of people we all know can make plays and make explosive plays. And he does a great job of making sure we're all on the same page, in the RPO-based scheme that we're in. And then, he trusts us. He believes in us. He gives us the power to go out and make plays for him and for this whole team. And, whether it's a run-heavy, call or those RPOs, we've had games where all the RPOs have been there, and then other games where we've had to rely on more of the run and more of the drop back. So I think he does a great job of adjusting. He does a great job of putting us in positions to have success. So it's been great working with him and getting to know him. And but yeah, at the end of the day, he believes in us, and he puts the power in his playmakers to go out there and make plays for us.
Stay right in front with Jim and then go to Ravi.
Yeah, Pat, you were probably kind of on the other end last year, but the offensive line was kind of considered the weak link last season. But this year, everything starts and ends on offensively behind this line. How much pride is in that locker room from that unit in that room for what they've done?
Yeah, of course. I think, just as an offensive lineman, we take immense pride in our abilities and our capabilities to go out and lead this team and lead this unit. At the end of the day, we always want the game to rest on our shoulders, and we always want to control the line of scrimmage. That's our livelihood, right? We're never in it for individual glory or anything like that. Like we protect those behind us, beside us, in front of us. We are protectors at the end of the day. So we take great pride in keeping guys clean, and the ability to rise as a unit and rise up in an offense. It has been huge for us, and we gotta keep pushing. There's always areas to improve, and we gotta put a great week together. We've had a great 3 weeks here, but the hay's never in the barn, especially as an O-lineman. There's always details. There's always preparation needs that need to be met. So I'm excited for this unit to go out and perform on a big stage again, but we got to take it day by day.
We'll go Ravi and then Daniel.
Yeah, so I'm working on a story about just sort of how the fan base, the town, the students, everybody has just really been energized by what you guys have done. So I'm curious, what are some of the coolest things you've seen, whether it be on campus, around town, maybe a road game, where you're like, wow, these people are really into this?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's been almost my favorite part of this journey here because, that's what football is all about. The captivating manner in which, a group of individuals can bring together a whole community, a whole city, a whole fan base. It's special. It really is. Immediately things popped in my head, like after the Oregon game, I'm with my parents. We have like a little visit before we all get on the bus, and just people like running up to me, just like thanking me for coming here. And I'm just like, it's my pleasure, like it's my pleasure for coming here. But just saying like random, elderly men just saying like, this is the best day of my life. Like you guys have changed my life. It was like, I was pretty taken aback by it. Special moments like that. Like we were just out to dinner with a couple of my teammates the other week at Malibu Grill, and an elderly gentleman came up to us and just like thanked us for everything. And, he said he's been a fan for 60 plus years, and, it's the most fun he's ever had. And just stuff like that. He thanked us for, he was telling us, it's not about the winning and all that. It's just, he said it's the manner in which you guys play and how you go about your business. So I thought that was really cool. Just stuff like that. It's awesome to see how captivating, football is as a game, and how this fan base has kind of, rose with the team for sure. It's been awesome.
Staying around with Daniel, and then go to Pete.
Played a lot of quality fronts this year, obviously, but just watching film, what's kind of impressed you, and just kind of what stands out to you about Alabama?
Yeah, really, really, really good front. The front seven in general, really large individuals, great body types. It's an SEC defense, and it's dominant, and it's a great front seven that, is going to be a big challenge for us. I think it all starts with 96. Tim Keenan, their nose guard, their defensive tackle. He's their leader there. He's their captain, their guy. Really stout run defender. Plays with great leverage, and he's going to be a huge challenge for all of us, me in particular. And then they can really rush the passer across the board. So it's going to be a huge challenge for us, and one we're excited about, but one we got to be ready for sure.
Go to the top left to Pete.
Yeah, Pat, I assume you watched the Oklahoma game, some tape of that. How much does that help? They fall behind 17-0. The defense goes, I don't want to say they were passive, but then they became very attacking. How much does that help in terms of your preparation to see what they can do? Because they pretty much had to show everything at that point.
Yeah, I think it shows more of the team that we're about to play, the culture we're about to play. That's no easy feat, going into Norman, being down 17-0, and being able to come back and win. Being down 17-0 anywhere against a quality opponent is tough, but especially away in a college football playoff game, that is really tough. So it's a credit to them and their ability to stay locked in and come back and win. I think that shows the type of culture that they have down there and how big of a challenge it's going to be for us. Yeah, but they were all they had to push all their chips to the middle, kind of like you said. So it definitely gave us a great idea of kind of their when they were behind the sticks or something, their third down pressures. We've seen a lot of it, or just particular stuff like that. But I think at the end of the day, like I kind of said, it's more of a culture thing that they showed and their resiliency. So we know how big of a challenge it is going to be for us for sure.
Top row to Andrew, then Lou.
Pat, Irish Catholic family. I'm sure you saw Fernando take the Heisman as the priest here
I
on
saw that,
campus.
yeah.
What's it been like just seeing him, I guess, talk about his faith like that and not be afraid to take the Heisman over there and whatnot throughout this whole
Yeah,
thing?
it's awesome. It's a credit to him and just everything he's about, kind of what I've talked about. He, like I said the morning of the ceremony, he's everything the Heisman encapsulates. So really happy for him, but I know he's been happy to kind of close that, that chapter and get back to ball and get back to, game planning for an opponent. So again, like I said, it's a memory that we all made for a lifetime. But I know, and we all know, he's happy to kind of move forward and get ready for Bama.
We'll go last one in the room to Lou, and then we'll go to Josh on the Zoom.
You feel like you're the right guy in the right place after being with Notre Dame last year in the championship game and with Indiana this year. Hopefully you think headed in the same direction. Did you ever think it would play out like this, or did you say, oh, this is exactly what I wanted?
Well, I've always said it's been a crazy journey, and college football has never been the way I foresee it or how it's gone, but I'm a firm believer in everything happens for a reason. So I am overly gracious and grateful to be here, and everything every little decision I've made down the road has led me to here, and I am eternally grateful for that because just this season alone has been a dream and has been an unbelievable opportunity. But I've also just met wonderful people here and some of my closest friends. So just really, really grateful for everything that's led me here. Can't say I ever foresaw it for sure, but no doubt so grateful that it all happened.
All right, Josh, wrap us up on the Zoom.
Pat Carter walked in and he looked back at that backdrop and said he was just amazed by it. How do you, with your experience, keep everyone from letting the moment get too big on this big stage at the Rose Bowl?
Yeah, absolutely. You take it in for a brief moment. You're appreciative, you're grateful, you're excited, but at the end of the day, it's and I learned this a long time ago at ND, but it's like 120 by 53 in the third. We've been playing on the same surface since we were all in third and fourth grade. So you kind of just got to lock in and be a ball player because at the end of the day, between the white lines, the field's the same. The opponent is the opponent, and you kind of you got to go out there and play. But I think we've done a great job during preparation of just honing in on what we need to focus in on. Kind of eliminating the white noise, eliminating the clutter, and just being where our feet are and being present in the moment and being present in those meetings and really taking the time to prep for such a great opponent. But yeah, it's part of my journey. It's part of my experience. I've been there before, so I got to use that experience to help other people. That's a part of a leader. That's a part of a veteran player that that we take on and I take with great detail and great appreciation. So it's part of it, but at the end of the day, like I said, in between the white lines, you got to kind of eliminate the white noise, eliminate the clutter, and you got to go play ball.
Awesome. Thanks, Pat.
All right. Thank you, everyone.